here today with a past client, Antonie from Melbourne, Australia. And Antonie participated in a coaching mentoring program with me. And I just wanted Ant to come on and share his story today so that other young men in a similar situation can see what this is all about and see if they resonate with Ant's story and potentially, might be something that they'd like to do themselves. So congratulations, Ant. You've come a long way from when I first met you. Where you were with your life, your confidence, your dating and relationships, and how would you describe your general feeling about yourself, life, women?
So it was pretty limited in terms of social life, making new connections, and dating. And when you messaged me, that was like the first time in a while where I actually paused and had to actually really think about where I was heading in terms of my relationships, because I knew what I wanted to pursue in terms of business and work. And I think in terms of my focus and time and energy, I was allocating maybe like 80 to 90% of my time into that.
How was your general well-being, like your confidence with yourself, with women?
To be completely blunt, I was probably just a boy trying to put on a mask of a man. I was like, really trying to mask all these insecurities that I had at the time. The experiences growing up with female friends and dating. That sort of, didn't set me up in the best frame of mind and best perspective on relationships and dating. And then I think I've developed a sort of subconscious avoidance towards, committing and meeting new women. Those typical scenarios where you start spending a bit of time with a female friend, and then and then you start to catch feelings and stuff, and then you put their needs and their values and their wants ahead of yours, and then that creates that neediness behavior. And that's something that I was completely oblivious to at the time, but obviously doing the work and then shedding light on all those things, working alongside you, that's when you really start to, it's really uncomfortable, but that's when you really start to notice the little nuances and habits that you pick up and how you behave around women. And at the time I fell into that frame of being that needy, over friendly, nice male friend, when obviously I wanted something more, but I was too insecure and too afraid to express my truth and what I really wanted out of that relationship.
And I think you're at the stage where you weren't even really at that point really ready to take on coaching.
After our first touch point, I completely disregarded that, because I think because that was the first time I really had to question that area of my life, it was sort of a shock to the system, a bit of a hit on the ego. And you sort of like,
I remember that,
go into your shell. And then you're like, who is this guy trying to like question and pick at this thing that I'm so sensitive and so like uncomfortable with?
Yes.
And there's almost like a button that's pushed. You sort of like get triggered in that moment.
It was a little bit triggering.
100%. It wasn't even a little bit triggering. It was very triggering at the time. But as you know, and as all the guys in the program know, the triggers is what uncovers the very things that we know we need to sort of work on and address. That was also a pretty pivotal moment in terms of like, wow, I actually need to put some time and effort into working on this area.
Like in contrast to where you were then and where you are now, how do you feel now as a man?
Jeez. I don't even know how to condense like the last 6 months into a few sentences. The amount of I guess growth that has occurred, but also the amount of challenges that we've overcome together. First of all, the confidence levels, the certainty that I have, not just in relationships, but in all areas of my life right now, in the way I show up, in the way I express my beliefs and truths. I know exactly what my values are. I've got a very crystal clear vision on what I want in terms of my relationships, the partner that I want to have eventually. And then have being really clear on that. Now I know exactly what sort of actions I need to be taking on a daily, weekly basis. And there's direction. There's a clear roadmap in terms of what I need to do in order to get there.
How are women in general and other people responding to you as a person in your interpersonal relationships now? I mean, particularly women, but everyone.
Oh man. Like I went out one night with another guy from the program, and just you don't notice the differences at the time because you've been so focused on doing the work and overcoming all these challenges as they come. But reflecting on that experience, going out, spending 3 hours and just like meeting and talking to women and people, there's just this aura and this new energy that you sort of feel and that others are sort of receiving. It's extremely positive. There's a lot of fun. I think that's a big word that I've that I've really sort of embodied is being able to just be that fun, playful version of myself that I've really, really suppressed over the last couple of years, especially with like meeting new people and meeting new women. And I feel like that's something I get to become and really embody and offer to the people that I meet, which is, yeah, it's really cool.
Look, and just from my personal experience of you and watching you, evolve from where you were to now, like your energy is completely different, man. Like you've just got such a more vibrant energy, such more get up and go within you, and just like a zest for life and people and everything. And it's really nice to see, man. Yeah. You've had some really amazing experiences with women. Can you just maybe tell us briefly about one experience that springs to mind?
Man, if I was to be honest, if I reflected back on the core outcomes that I set at the very start of the program, I probably managed to hit more than most of them, pretty much. I reckon 80% of them. And I guess one experience in particular, and I voiced this at the start, is I wanted to, again, be more playful, be more fun in terms of my interactions with women and dating. And there was that one interaction where I took a girl on a date, and it was in the botanical gardens, and it was playful, it was fun, it was flirty. And I remember one of the exercises is getting real clear on your ideal women, and not just like the physical side, but also like the traits, the values, the subtle personality sort of stuff. And funnily enough, the photo that I included in that, I ended up, having a really awesome experience with the exact chick that I put into that worksheet. So
that's cool, man. And in terms of the coaching in general, is there any aspects about the coaching that you love the most, and why?
I guess the directness and not shying away from the bullshit, which is obviously really uncomfortable. To finally have that sort of mentor, guide, coach in your corner that, not many men have the luxury to have growing up. I especially didn't have that support, that you're not afraid to be upfront and to provide a bit of tough love when it's needed. And then working with you, obviously, we're able to shed light on that and sort of relearn a lot of stuff, unlearn a lot of stuff, and then build new habits and belief systems around that.
That's awesome. Was it an age difference between us? I mean, we're nudging probably 20 years. Do you think that had a negative or positive impact on my ability to provide you with the type of guidance that you were looking for as a younger man?
No, not at all. You know what? I was actually thinking about that a few months back, and I think the big reason why I decided to commit and to work with you, especially with the age gap, is because like you've lived it. You've spent the time in the trenches. You've got the life experiences. You've gone through the multiple relationships, the hurdles, the challenges, serious relationships. And I think that's such a valuable thing to have in terms of a coaching relationship. Yeah.
Biggest takeaway from the whole experience?
When you finally make that decision to just start showing up for yourself and committing to doing the work, the inner work, that's when your reality really starts to shift.
A lot of the fear comes from, making a decision to start on this process. Quite often the decision to start a coaching agreement with someone, like in that moment when you've got to sign the agreement, and it's like, it's like this intense pressure. It's like, oh, I've actually got to do this now.
All right, I'll condense it to this. I reckon the biggest takeaway is that the cost of regret is always going to outweigh you like leaning into the discomfort and going through the challenges and the ongoing setbacks and rejections. Yeah.
It's like the regret of seeing that beautiful girl at the bar that you want to talk to, and you stare at her and think about it for 10 minutes and have another beer, and then she leaves the bar. And then So the primary focus of the program is obviously women and dating. Has your life benefited in any other ways, briefly?
The biggest sort of aspect of the relationship coaching is the relationship that you have with yourself. Like, I think that's a big point of difference, I think, that you have among, a few of the other guys that I see in the space, is that there's a big focus on just starting to really develop a healthy and strong relationship with self. Like, you help men develop a strong foundation for all areas of their life.
You've always been very driven and ambitious yourself. You're an entrepreneur. What advice would you give to busy guys who often say, I haven't got time for women, I haven't got time to focus on my relationships, potentially just making a little bit of an excuse there? What would you say to those guys?
It's just down to whether we want to prioritize the thing that, we say we don't have the time for. Because really, do we want that ideal partner? Do we want that dream relationship with a woman we align with? Absolutely we do. Yeah. So let's not deny that and rob ourselves of that gift just by just by believing in that negative self-talk, that limiting belief system.
That's really great to hear, Ant. Personally, like I said, I'm super proud of the work that you did, and the fact that you just stepped up to your fears and your resistance, that you executed, you committed to yourself, and you did the work that's required. Personally, man, I've had coaches and mentors in most areas of my life, and I continue to do so. Can you imagine how you might be today as a man if you never bit the bullet and invested in coaching? Not even just with me, because I know you've had other coaches as well, some other coaches. Can you just speak to coaching in general a little bit in terms of the life benefits?
It's invaluable, man. I can't even fathom where I'd be hadn't I not done the work with yourself. And I think having that impartial third party individual looking into your life and being able to shine lights on the parts of yourself that you've been avoiding, that's what I find is the most valuable in terms of a coaching relationship. So
no, and like it just wasn't even really a thing when I was your age, man. And I can only imagine where I would be in terms of the evolution of my life, like where I want to go, the vision I have for my life, like where I would be along that scale if I had invested in coaching when I was your age, man. So guys, I think that just about wraps it up here, Antonie. And I just want to thank you for coming on and sharing your story to inspire other men that no matter how out of reach your goals might seem or how hopeless you might feel or whatever it is, that there's always something better awaiting those that are willing to lean into their fear and take action and get the right help. I know that you're on your own journey there, and do you want to just briefly tell whoever's watching what you're up to now?
Since working with Dan, I left the existing business that I was at when I started working with you. And I think the theme here is just I'm more in alignment with just everything that I'm doing right now, not just relationships, which is awesome because now I know exactly what feels right to me. I think my intuition has never been stronger than it has before. So I'm also doing coaching of my own, working with ambitious individuals, just like myself, just like you. And just getting them to really own their story and where they're at in their journey, express their truths to the world and express their value to the marketplace. So
I'm so happy that you've been able to continue working on that business and growing it and helping people as well. Where can people reach you if they want to find out more about what you do?
Super active on IG, so at Antonie_NG. So any guys in Melbourne as well would be awesome to link up as well. So
cool, man.
You can find me there.
Thanks, bro. And if anyone watching this, Antonie's story inspires you to stop wasting time waiting for something to change in your life or spending your days with this overarching feeling of heaviness or that something's not right or that you're wanting more in your life and you want to commit to yourself to setting and achieving goals in dating and relationships and create an amazing love life and a life in general, then leave a comment below in this video or you can reach out to me in DMs. They're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Antonie, thank you. And I look forward to seeing your future successes.
Pleasure.
All the best, man.